What's up, y'all? It's your host with the most, the real Taylor Nicole, back at it again with another episode for y'all. I appreciate everyone who tunes in, whether you're tuning in on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast. I love you. I appreciate you. So, your host was most always coming with a banger, coming with some good movies. I have yet to find a movie I dislike, okay? I have yet to find one, but I know it's going to be out there, and I know it's going to be causing some problems. But before we get into the pod today, I do want to take a moment to reach out and let you guys know that, first of all, you should be caught up on the 28 Days of My Black People, Black History videos that I've been dropping. Unfortunately, if you are listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, it is not on there. You have to go to YouTube to see it, mainly because there's some visual arts I want you guys to take a look at. But beyond that, I also want to take the time to let you guys know, again, if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, I apologize in advance, but your girl has some more things that she is dropping next month. Next month, we're going to do Black History Mondays, which I will drop those on Spotify and Apple Podcast. Well, not Apple Podcasts. I'm sorry, I can't drop it on there because it's not a podcast. Well, no, it might still go on there. It still might go on there. You just might have to wait for the complete season. I'm not sure yet. I haven't figured that part out just yet. But I will say, Black History Mondays is coming next month. Mini Series Wednesdays is coming next month. And we're still doing the podcast every Friday. So 3 days out the week, you guys are getting some guaranteed content from your girl. Okay? Guaranteed content. Because I am tired of working for other people. So I got to do what suits me and works for me, so I can start putting myself in those fields and those rooms to get me where I want to be in life, which is I want to be a film writer. I want to be a director. I want to be a producer. I want to bring what's in this brain to the big screen so you people can see what I am built with. I am built different. Okay? So, with that being said, just make sure you guys prepare for March, because coming March, I'm coming with some fire for y'all. I promise you I am. Come with some fire. Your girl's gonna make it do what it do. You hear me? But anyway, without further ado, your host with the most wants to bring to y'all the episode that you've been waiting for. Episode 31. We are 29 more episodes away from being to episode 60, which marks my 1 year anniversary of podcasting on my platform. Can you dig me? I'm pumped if you can't tell. But anyway, that's not what y'all here for. Y'all here to hear about what movie I watched for you guys. So, once again, episode 31. The name of this movie is One Night in Miami. And the running time is about 1 hour and 55 minutes. Let's just call it 2 hours. Let's call a spade a spade. The release date for this movie was September 7th of 2020. This movie is directed by Miss Regina King. You go ahead, Regina, and I'm going to give her flowers up front. This was a great movie. It's no reason why this movie shouldn't have been nominated more than just 3 times. Because this movie, y'all, it was a must watch for me. The story is actually by Kemp Powers. The nominations that this movie received was the Screen Actors Guild Award for Outstanding Performance by a Cast in a Motion Picture, Academy Award for Best Actor in Supporting Role, and Golden Globe Award for Best Director. And there was definitely other nominees that they got for sure. But it was 3 in particular that was considered the most notable. But there was several other ones that got nominated for, of course. Of course, you can watch this movie on Amazon Prime, Freevee TV, or Freevee, I'm sorry. Tubi while it's available, because, you know, Tubi take them on and off. And YouTube TV /YouTube and Pluto TV. Now, of course, I know for sure it's going to remain on Amazon Prime because I believe this was an Amazon original. All those other ones I listed, it could be while supplies last, if you will. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and introduce the cast. Now, there were a few people who you'll get to hear mentioned throughout the entirety of me telling about the story, but for the most part, these 4 men held the crown for this documentary biopic type of film, you know. But anyway, we have Eli Gorey as Cassius Clay, aka Muhammad Ali. Aldous Hodge, as Jim Brown, aka Mr. James Brown, not the dancer James Brown, the football player. And then we have Leslie Odom Jr. as Sam Cooke, and then we have Kingsley Ben Adir as Malcolm X. And I probably butchered all of them names except for Mr. Leslie, and I'm sorry if I did. But um, before we proceed, I do want to give a shout out to all the viewers who's been watching the shorts, who's been watching the pod. Thank you all for viewing. I really appreciate the love and support. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell another friend to come and watch a friend talk about a podcast or the Black History or the miniseries when they release. I really appreciate everybody who's tuning in. You guys are making me want to continue doing what I do, and I appreciate it. Hopefully, I get an opportunity to turn this into a career of pulling me out of working for other people. I want to be able to do this for you guys full time, as well as bring you guys beautiful content in the field of film. So, if y'all can support me, I can support y'all. But anyway, let's continue. Um, as we all know, I like to tell y'all the film. So let's go ahead and let's tell the film. So the movie is basically based around the night of February 25th of 1964 in Miami, where Muhammad Ali, and unfortunately in the movie they do call him Cassius Clay, but I remember seeing a video of Muhammad Ali saying, "Do not call him that. That was a slave name." So I'm out of respect not going to refer to him as Cassius Clay when I talk about it. Just know they were talking about Mr. Ali, which everybody should know him as that. But basically, the film is about Muhammad Ali, who joins Jim Brown, Sam Cooke, and Malcolm X on this journey of one night in Miami to talk about Black America. Basically, talk about the responsibilities of being a successful Black man in Black America and in America in general, and what it means to be that and what it holds to be that. Right. So as the movie opens up, the first part you get to see is Ali fighting at the Wembley Stadium in London in 1963, which of course Ali wins. He's doing his Ali dancing and his Ali shit talking and his float like a butterfly and stinging like a bee, if you will. And I think he was like 21 at the time of this fight, I want to say. And of course he wins, right? Then after that, we get to see Sam Cooke, who's performing at I forget the name, but if you watch the movie, you can find out the name. But it's basically an all white uh, um, members in there, and he was performing in front of them. He bombed, but he bombed because he's Black, they white. That's basically why he bombed. Because it's Sam Cooke. If you ain't heard Sam Cooke and heard him sing, you need to pause this right now and go play. One of my favorite songs by Sam Cooke is "Born by the River." It is my favorite song of his. Don't care what nobody say. That song will get you, okay? And you gonna I'm gonna touch on that in just a sec. Let me continue. But anyway, Sam Cooke is upset after his set. That he bombed, and he was upset. You would think he's upset because he didn't woo the crowd or nothing. Like you think he's upset because he did something wrong, but that's not the case. He's actually upset because he realized that there's no change yet at this time. That Black people are still not being given the love that they deserve for the talent that they have, if you will. That's kind of why he's upset. It's like the white people still aren't coming around. To me, that's why he was upset. Then next you get to meet Jim Brown, NFL player, who travels to a man named Mr. Clayton. I'm not 100% sure what him and Mr. Clayton's relationship was to dig deep, but I didn't really want to spend a whole lot of time trying to dig deep because you could do that on your own time. But basically, he goes to meet, sit and talk with him. They talk, and Mr. Clayton and him are talking and reminiscing. And Clayton tells him, if you ever need support, I'm here for you. You're an important staple in the state of Georgia. And Jim Brown, like, I don't know, because most people on this island ain't really messing with your boy. And he like, don't worry about them. I got your back. Well, a significant part in that film was when Jim Brown was talking to Mr. Clayton. Mr. Clayton was going into his home to go move around some furniture, and Jim offered to help. And he told him, we don't allow niggas in the home. And that stung Jim a little bit. You could tell it did. It stung him, right? So Jim like, right. Cool. Okay. That was the first sting of the movie. Next, we get to meet our beloved brother Malcolm X, who comes home to his wife Betty X, who's played by Joaquina Kalua Kango. I think that's how I pronounce her name. I'm sorry, sweetie, if I pronounced it wrong. I'm sorry, sweetheart. she was watching one of his speeches that was televised as he comes home, and they have this conversation, about, you know, the nation and his plans. They don't really tell you what plans he's got going on, but they talk about his plans, and then they also talk about his recruitment of another powerful brother, but they don't mention who once again. So finally, and I'm gonna tell you this: watch the movie to catch the entirety of each person's conversation, each person's introduction for yourself. I'm not gonna break all that down, unfortunately, because I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on it. But finally, we get to Miami, Florida, February 25th of 1964. And Ali, it shows Ali, he's taking pictures underneath the water and, getting his, self prepped and all this good jazz. And I think it's his manager slash trainer, Angelo Dundee, who's played by Michael Imperillo. I don't know if I said that right or not. And they have this little argument about his relationship with Malcolm X, because Ali and Malcolm X have a relationship, and they have this little argument about it. And Ali like, boy, fuck you, I'm gonna do what I want to do. Well, anywho, while Sam is in his hotel room practicing his performances, practicing his music, he's accompanied by his wife, Miss Barbara Cook, who's played by Nicolette Robinson. And while he's performing, they're having a little conversation. Sorry, guys. They're having a little conversation, about, him not performing for her not hearing his music in a while. Like, they're having this whole little heart-to-heart conversation. But while they're having a little heart-to-heart conversation, in walks, or not, I'm sorry, not in walks. While they're having a little conversation, Malcolm X calls. Okay, Brother X. Brother X calls. And anyway, so, like I said, Malcolm X calls. They're having a conversation, and X asks, Sam, like, have you seen Brother Ali? And have you heard from anything? He's like, no. Well, while they ended the conversation, Ali knocks at the door, and he comes in. They pray. They have a spiritual moment. They pray and everything like that. And while they're praying, outside the door, Brother Kareem X, who's played by Lance Reddick, which R.I.P. Mr. Reddick, is outside the door also praying right along with him, right? So they have this conversation. After praying, they have this conversation, and about Ali, and basically they had this conversation about something Ali was supposed to have communicated with his team that he has not communicated with them yet, right? And next, we get to see Ali have another fight against Sonny Liston, because that was the big fight in Miami, the Ali versus Sonny Liston, and Ali kicked Sonny Liston's ass, okay? And at that fight, you had Sam, Malcolm, and Jim Brown all there supporting Ali, because they all were actually really good friends, okay? So they're all supporting Ali. After the fight, they're supposed to be going, the men are under the impression that they're going to an after party to celebrate, kick it, turn up for champs winning, right? Turns out, Brother Malcolm actually wanted them there to have a brother to brother conversation. But during that brother to brother conversation, Jim Brown says, "Hey, brother, I came here to get some, PUSSY. That's what I came here for." And Sam like, "Yeah, I came to have a good time. I ain't trying to stay cooped up in no hotel. What you got going on?" So, Sam and like I said, Sam and Jim are ready to get it popping. They really have a good time, right? But Malcolm tells him, "We stand in to celebrate not only him becoming a champ, but him converting and transitioning over to become Muslim." And Sam and Jim like, what the, so this is where the big political debate in that room starts to happen. This is where the brother to brother conversation really starts to butt heads, right? So in this hotel, it went from them having black man joy to them having a real black man conversation in that room, right? So None of the Jim, Sam, they're both a little confused about Ali joining the nation, right? So Sam and Malcolm start arguing, and Jim agrees with Malcolm a little bit about, Ali's decision on becoming Muslim and everything else. And but Jim like, I can't do it because I love pork chops and white women too much to go join the nation. So he like, can't do it. Sorry. So during that conversation, Malcolm realizes that he left his camera in the car. And at first I'm like, what is the important, like, your people out there watching it? But he wanted his camera. I feel like he wanted his camera so he can capture moments with Jim, Ali, and Sam. I think that's why he wanted it. And Sam made a joke like, your camera ain't safe in the black neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? You supposed to be all good in the hood. What's going on? What you scared for? To make think somebody gonna break in and steal it? But while Malcolm goes outside, he has a conversation with his daughter first. I want to say him and his daughter are talking. He tells her about a present that he left her, and they having a conversation, right? Him and his daughter. Sam sneaks out the room while Jim and Ali are talking to one of the doormen, and um they, talking to the little door dude. They was supposed about being a Muslim and, regrets he may have, and, everything of the nature. Well, Sam ends up sneaking out, and when he sneaks out, Malcolm was still on the phone, but Malcolm noticed two white men he had noticed previously that was following him. He noticed that they're there again. So he ends his conversation with his wife, and he tells Sam, let's go back into the hotel and, let's get back in there. Well, at this point, they go back into the hotel. And I'm sorry. Before they go back in the hotel, Jim tells Ali that he's actually been in a movie. He does that. He said, I do die halfway through the movie, but I still was in the movie. And he told me I got 37K just to do that movie. Yeah, I might have died halfway through the film, but I got 37K just to do it. And Ali, he teased him about it, but he tell him, pretty much that's what you want. That's what you want. And basically, at this point, is when Malcolm and Sam come back in. Now, Malcolm and when Malcolm and Sam come back in, he tells them about the guys that was following him and how he went ahead and hired a writer to start to be able to tell his story, but in his words, in Malcolm's words, not in somebody else's words. And they like confused it, like, we thought you didn't do writers, we thought you didn't do reports. And he was like, well, I need my story to be told out of my mouth and what I went through and what I know happened. And they like, okay, cool. Ali like, let's go out and get some fresh air. So they go on the roof, and they up there on the roof, and they're all having this little back and forth conversation. And this is when they find out that Jim was in a movie, and he's thinking about potentially pursuing movies full time versus, football. And the guys, they're encouraging him versus tearing him down. They having a real life man to man conversation up there. They're encouraging each other. They are joking on each other, and then they start kind of playing catch with Malcolm's camera, and it pisses Malcolm off. And I don't know what was on that camera, but whatever it was, it meant the world to Malcolm. And he didn't want his camera to be destroyed from them playing childish ass games. So he takes some pictures of them, and they get to talking. Sam and Malcolm were so much alike that they probably didn't even know it, because they clashed and butt heads viciously. And with Ali being the youngest out of the four men, I think he was just there soaking up the game. I think that's what it was for him. I think he was just soaking up the game. I think he was sitting back and listening to Malcolm, who I believe was the oldest, if I'm not mistaken. And then I think it was either Sam or Jim Brown that was the second oldest. And then, like I said, Ali was the baby. So he's listening to these fellas and soaking up the game at such a young age. But at the same time, as a young age, Ali was very courageous, heavily respected, a well-rounded man, and very, very intelligent, no matter what people thought. But anyway, while they up there having their conversation, and they having a good conversation between each other, Malcolm tells them that, he plans on going to the Mecca, which is in Saudi Arabia. And they like, damn, for real? And he like, y'all should come with me. And Ali like, shit, I'm down. But um Jim, and Sam like got other business ventures, brother. Can't go, can't do it. So Malcolm and Sam start their little tit for tat. They get to arguing, and during their argument, Malcolm tells Sam pretty much like, your voice is so powerful, you should really be using it to try to make a difference. Sing songs that make people think. Sing songs that make people want to make a difference in this world. Stop. He basically tells him, stop singing songs about fornication and loving and all this dance parade that you're doing, and sing a song that make a motherfucker think. And Sam like, motherfucker, who you talking to? Like, I own my shit. Every song you never heard me sing, I own. I own the masters to it. And if I let somebody else use it, I own them too. I own that too. They going back and forth with each other. Sam hits below the belt. Because he tells him that everybody up there, Malcolm is the only one who doesn't belong. And see, that struck a nerve from Malcolm, because Malcolm already feels, even though he don't say it, he already feels, because I'm a light-skinned brother, I'm already inferior to y'all. Y'all darker than me. Y'all gonna get more respect from the black people than I'm gonna get, because y'all darker. They see y'all as a blacker man than y'all they ever see me. He don't say that, but you could tell us what the fuck he was thinking. And for Sam to say you don't belong, that pissed Malcolm off. And then on top of that, it pissed him off even more when he said your daddy didn't beat you enough. And they clashed. And when they clashed, brother Kareem X comes up there, and he pushes Sam out the way, and they try to, intervene. And Jim stood up and told brother Kareem, Malcolm said he don't need your protection, he good, so you best go on away. Kareem thought he was gonna step up to Jim, and Jim was like, I am not the nigga for you. I promise you, I'm not. You might want to take your little ass on back where you came from, because I said I'm not. And I'm thinking to myself, like, you might want to listen to Jim. Boom, back up now. So after that, they go down to the hotel, back into the hotel room, and as they're going back in the room, Sam and Malcolm are still going at it. Now I ain't gonna lie, Malcolm was digging in Sam's ass. Oh, and pause, and no homo. He was getting it. He was checking and going back and forth and hitting Sam where Sam didn't see it coming. But see, Sam also came back at him with some shit. You know what I'm saying? You're not gonna dig at me and tell me that I'm not fighting for my black people because I'm singing these lullaby songs, if that's what you want to call them, and I'm not singing about hating a white man, and because that's basically what Malcolm is telling them, like, you need to use your voice to uplift our black people, and it also make these white people wake up. That's what you need to use your voice for. And Sam, like, you keep trying to make me out to be a white man hater, and that's not who I am. I'm for all. I want everybody to love each other. And what I'm doing is I'm going into these rooms where black people are typically not at, to make them let us in them rooms. The more I plunge myself into those rooms, the more I'm opening up doors for everybody else to be able to plunge themselves into them rooms. And I'm going to keep doing it. Whether you like it or he like it or she like it or nobody like it, I'm going to keep doing what I know how to do. Point blank in a period. So you got that conversation going on. And Jim and Ali are just on flies on the wall, listening in, letting Sam and Malcolm go back and forth, back and forth. And at this point, but Malcolm starts playing music of Sam's to try to make a point. He starts playing songs of Sam's to try to make a point. Then he finally plays one song that was written by a white man that was more to Malcolm, had more of a power on the black and white differences than the music Sam wrote. And he points out that song made it number one. And that pissed Sam off. Sam walked out. Right? Ali goes after Sam. Now you got Jim and Malcolm in the same room. And Jim, he says to brother Malcolm that although you may be upset with Sam, everything Sam said to you is true. He is the only man in here who is not financially dependent upon the white dollar. He's the only man in this room that is more economically free than anybody. He's the only man in this room that can make a difference with his dollars, as he's been doing. And he tells him, the key to black people being free is economic success first. And back then that was true. Jim got to land some knowledge on Malcolm. And Malcolm had to sit back and look at it from both perspectives, not just his own, but both perspectives, and where Sam was coming from. Because honestly, they both men had a valid point in their argument. And please, I can't say it word for word what they said, but if you watch that movie, you will see that Malcolm and Sam's argument was so strong, y'all. And it made such a valid. I'm trying not to cry because honestly, y'all, this movie by the end of this movie, I'm not gonna lie, I was in tears because this movie really it strikes a black nerve, you know. But let me continue before I get to being a crybaby on camera. So after Malcolm and Jim talk, or while they talking, I'm sorry, while they're talking, Jim tells Malcolm that he's no one's weapon, and Malcolm tells him pretty much that's the problem. We all are supposed to be a weapon for black. That's what we're supposed to be, right? So they finish their conversation. The next thing you know, oh wait, I did skip one thing. Before I talk about Ali and Sam's conversation, Jim says to Malcolm, and this is the part where in the movie where I started really having to perch up and listen. He says to Malcolm, why is it that all you light skinned brothers are the most militant of the black people? Why is that? And Malcolm, like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't see color. He said, may it be, and Jim goes, may that be. But it's always you light skinned brothers who are so militant and more militant than any other black person. The darkest man is not as militant as y'all. And in a way, Jim had a point, but I've seen some militant black brothers, but I get what he was saying. And he tells them, I feel like y'all only want to be so militant to prove your blackness, not only to the white man, but to black people too. Because you get so much shit from the darker hue that you think you're not black enough. So you have to be this militant and have to be this pungent on your black community to show who you are. And Brother Malcolm is like speechless basically, because it's kind of true. Regardless if Malcolm wanted to admit it, it's true. Well, like I said, Ali and Sam ended up having a conversation, and basically Ali tells Sam what Malcolm was trying to say, but not in a militant way. And Sam heard exactly what the hell Ali said to him. He heard exactly what Malcolm said to him, but he accepted it in a different form per person. And Sam, like, I basically tell in a way he tell Ali, I hear you, but let's go kick it. Let's go have some fun. Let's stop being so serious for one moment, and let's just have some fun. And they go back to the hotel, and this is where Sam and Malcolm share another moment together. But this is a more beautiful moment because Malcolm and Sam share this moment of where Malcolm tells a story about how he's been to at least 5 or 6 different shows that Sam has had, and the most memorable one for him, I believe, was in Boston. It was in Boston where Sam had performed after Jackie Wilson, who was played by Jeremy Pope, by the way. And in this performance, Jackie Wilson paid somebody to disconnect Sam's mic, to sabotage him basically. And Sam, he realized that that's what was going on. So Sam goes a cappella, and he stumped them feet, sing them hymns. He got the crowd paying attention, and Malcolm was getting ready to leave until he heard Sam. He turned back around and Sam rocked that crowd without a mic. He went a cappella, no band, no mic, no instrumentals, no nothing. That man rocked the crowd without anything. And at that very moment, Malcolm knew Sam had a voice that could change the world. That's what he knew. And that is why he was so hard on Sam, because he's like, you have a voice that can change this world and you just don't hear it the way I hear it. And that's what he was trying to get Sam to understand. I hear you beyond the instruments. I hear you. And I need you to hear you too. That's why he was so upset with Sam. It had nothing to do with Sam can make whatever songs he wanted to, but his point was, you haven't made one song to tell them basically We are here. We are a power. We are a movement. We are fierce. We're something to be reckoned with. And that's what Malcolm was so upset with Sam about. It had nothing to do with Sam making all these other beautiful songs. But that inspired Sam to write Born by the River. That conversation that night inspired Sam. It hit him. He had been trying to write a song like that for forever and couldn't buckle it down. And he finally did after that conversation with Malcolm. Well, when they go back into the room and while they're in the room and they're having that conversation, before they get to go out and kick it, reporters comes to the door and asks for Ali. And Ali, oh, I'm sorry, I skipped something. I'm so sorry. So after Malcolm told them about the Boston performance, he also lets them know that he's actually planning on separating from the nation and creating his own organization because he sees some holes in leadership in the nation that he just can't get with. And Ali flips shit because he like, wait a minute, you trying to take me and get me into the nation, but you plan on leaving? Like, what kind of shit is that? So him and Ali have a back and forth banter, and Malcolm pretty much tell him, if you don't believe I've ever been a real good friend to you, hey, wash your hands with me. Walk away from me. I won't be upset. But I truly was a friend to you. You know, because he asked Ali to join his organization versus going to the nation. So when the reporters came to get Ali tells Malcolm to come with him, and that's his way of letting Ali know. That's Ali's way of letting Malcolm know, I still stand with you, my brother. I still trust you. And they go out and have a conversation with the reporters. While they're out there having a conversation, Sam and Jim are still in the room, and this is when Sam tells Jim like what Malcolm said really hit me because he wasn't lying. I haven't wrote anything yet. And Jim's like, well, write something. And he tells him, I've been working on something. And then it ends right there. We don't even get to know what he's talking about. But I knew what he was talking about when he said he was working on something because of the year. But they end up going outside and listening to Ali give his speech to the reporters. And he announces that he's becoming a part of the nation and he's denouncing part of his name, which, as we all know, his original birth name was Cassius Clay. And he lets them know that he's getting rid of the Clay and to call him Cassius X, which eventually we know he drops the Cassius completely and goes to Muhammad Ali. But he denounces his name and announces his new name. After that, they all go have a good time. You know, you might be seeing some of the pictures. They go have a good time. They're, out drinking, except for Malcolm and Ali, because Ali announced becoming a Muslim. He now has to denounce alcohol and pork and white women. And while they're in there taking pictures, they tell Malcolm to come to the other side of the camera and take a picture with them. And when he does, he looks out the window, and the same two white men he's seen previously are outside that window again. But this time they're talking to a black man who's giving them this some paper. And now Malcolm, he sees this. He don't say nothing to nobody. He just sees it. Well, later on, um, this is when after that, somewhere in '64, Sam Cooke is on another television show and he's performing songs. And he, gets down and starts doing his interview and talking. And the performer asks him to perform one more song. And this is when he performs his hit song, Born by the River. And while that song is playing in the background, Ali announces his name change. Malcolm X's home gets caught on fire. Jim Brown retires from the NFL to pursue his acting career, and Sam Cooke, of course, is still singing. Towards the end, when Malcolm's house got caught on fire, his family got put into a hotel. They were in a hotel, and Malcolm is sitting at a desk with a autobiography sitting in front of him. And the autobiography was written by Alex Haley, and what it says, I believe it said Malcolm X, the story of the autobiography of Malcolm X as told to Alex Haley, right? And it ends with this quote. It says, The quote says, "It's a time for matrices now, and if I am to be one, it will be for the." It says, "It is a time for martyrs now, and if I am to be one, it would be for the cause of the brotherhood. That's the only thing that can save this country." Once again, it says, "It is time for the martyrs now, and if I am to be one, it will be for the cause of the brotherhood. That is the only thing that can save this country." That quote was given February 19th of 1965. 2 days later, Malcolm X was assassinated. I'm trying not to get emotional, you guys, because I'm telling you, by the end of this movie, I've never cried at any movie. You can ask my people. There's not one movie that made me cry until this one. I'm gonna tell you what got me though. Between the quote and Sam Cooke singing "Born by the River," that is the two things that got me in this movie. That's the two things. But before I jump into the next section of my talk, I wanted to take a minute to kind of give you guys some dates, okay? Starting with Malcolm X, he was born May 19th of 1925 in Omaha, Nebraska. He was shortly murdered February 21st of 1965 in New York, New York. Following his birth, we have Sam Cooke, who was born January 22nd, 1931 in Clarksdale, Mississippi, and was shortly murdered December 11th, 1964 in Los Angeles, California. And the reason why I said Malcolm and Cooke, why I said shortly, because they didn't get to live a full life like they should have been able to. So that's why I use the term shortly. Following in birth, James Jim Brown was born February 17th, 1936 in St. Simons Island, Georgia. And he passed away May 18th, 2023 in Los Angeles, California. And the last of the last who was born, Muhammad Ali, born January 17th, 1942 in Louisville, Kentucky. He passed away June 3rd of 2016 in Scottsdale, Arizona. I wanted to mention that to let you guys know that even though these four gentlemen have passed on, two of which were taken very, very too soon, and two of which just died from, between old age and other health issues, those four men, I had no idea were friends. And to hear their story told in a one night only, I would love to. I know they all have, movies that I can go watch, but it's nothing like being able to possibly, if I could have just heard it from their lips, it would have been different. It'd have been different. For my notes section, apparently Sam Cooke drove fancy cars because they kept mentioning it in the movie. The movie depicts Ali as we all should have seen him, not only just a damn good boxer, but an intelligent man, a good jokester, and apparently super motherfucking pretty. Ali was a big kid at heart, which is what I think kept him alive, kept him happy, kept him chipper throughout all his years on this earth. Malcolm X was clearly a loving, honest family man who just wanted his people to be seen in a different light, is what I took from the story. Malcolm, Jim, Sam, and Ali was speaking facts the entire movie. You have to watch the movie. I'm sorry, you got to watch the movie to see what I'm talking about. Them men were speaking facts in that entire movie. Just watch it. I can't verbatim state exactly what was said because it only sounds good hearing it come from the movie, and because they all carried a voice similar to the men that they were depicting is what made it so much more moving. All of them were able to capture somewhat of how the original man sounded and brought it into that film. The gentleman playing Malcolm X, he sounded almost so close to Malcolm X, it was ridiculous. The gentleman playing Muhammad Ali sounded so close to Muhammad Ali, it was so ridiculous. The gentleman playing Sam Cooke sounded like Sam Cooke almost. And then of course Mr. Jim Brown, he got as close as he could. But Ali and Malcolm X, those two voices were very, you could tell. If you didn't have to watch the movie but listen, you would know who's who based on the voices that they carry. Um, that conversation they had in that room that night, I wish they would have televised that for the public to see. The public needed to see that conversation. Though the movie reenacted what it could, that conversation that night was powerful. From what I seen in that movie, that conversation that night was so powerful that I promise you, if that would have been open to the public, there would have been so many different eyes open at that time. Granted, those eyes got open over time, but that conversation that night was pure. I mean, pure bliss. Okay? Well, what else I have my notes? Hold on before I conclude the show. Oh, the conversation about light versus dark that Jim Brown had with Malcolm X. I can honestly say that conversation was so true. It was true. Because there is still this issue between light and dark. To this day, it is still an issue. And I know most people will see me and go, well, you light skinned. My siblings are brown skinned. And people to this day will still try to tell me them not my siblings because I'm light, they brown. But we came from the same woman. They're my siblings. And that light versus brown shit, that light versus dark shit, I hate that. I don't see it. I see your heart. That's what I see. And at the end of this movie, it made me start realizing how I still see it to this day. That we still are divided amongst some color. And I'm not talking about white versus dark. I'm talking about light skin versus dark skin black people. We are still separated amongst each other. And that's what this movie, when I watched it, I realized just that one conversation that Jim Brown and Malcolm X had, it hit me. And I was like, God damn. That's still going on to this day. To this day. But I don't want to get too churchy in here on y'all. But that hotel scene was so deeply needed, y'all. I promise you, if you watch this movie, you're going to feel like I feel after watching it. I promise you. I promise you. I promise you. You might shed a tear too, because I'm telling y'all, I don't cry. And the end of that movie, the last 7 minutes of that movie, I spent crying. I had to take a break and call my mans because I needed somebody to listen to me just so I can get my head back in the game to do this episode. As I mentioned to you earlier, it made sense to me why Malcolm was fighting so hard for Sam Cooke to hear him. Because, like I said earlier, Malcolm heard him in a way that he felt like nobody else heard him. And he was trying to get Sam to understand that. Like, I heard you more than what you think I heard you. I heard you. And anybody who's listening, you know what he meant by that. He heard him. Like I said, y'all, the end of that movie, hearing Sam Cooke's "Born by the River" being sung, it struck a nerve. It hit me, y'all. It really did. And yeah, man, it hit me. I don't know what else to say. It hit me. It did. It hit me. I don't know what else to say. It hit me. Y'all know here on concluding that film, we like to rate that film, and y'all know what I'm giving. Y'all don't give it a 10 out of 10 because the movie just it touched me right here. Okay. And the reason why I'm gonna give this movie a 10 out of 10 because it was touching, it was emotional throughout the movie. Like I said before, it was some realness in that movie that touched me, hands down. You know, like I said, I don't cry, so the fact that it got me, it was some realness in that movie. it was some realness in that hotel room that night that I wish everybody had a chance to experience. Because that was a real conversation. Real conversation. Um, yeah, this is a must-watch movie. And I want to say this before I conclude the rest of this video. If you do watch this movie, and if you made it all the way to the end of this video, you made it all the way to the end of this video, leave me a pair of boxing gloves in the comment and a X and a football and a musical note. So leave me a pair of boxing gloves, a X, football, and a musical note. And if you leave me those 4 things, that means you made it all the way to the end of this end of this pod. Now I get it. If you're on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and you probably can't, but if you leave me that at the end of this video, that lets me know you watched the entire video. And when I do start opening up my Patreon, everyone who leaves me that at the note will get something free once I get my Patreon up and running. You'll get something free from me. I promise. Maybe get some free merch because I am eventually going to start working on some merch. I know it's a little early to start working on merch, but I want to get it going because I have a few ideas of things I want to get cracking. So maybe you'll get it. Matter of fact, everybody who leaves me a boxing glove, X, a musical note, and a football in the comments, you'll get a free merch from me. The first 10 people to do it. First 10 people to do it. But once again, thank everybody for viewing. Thank everybody for watching and tuning in with your girl week after week on the pod. I really appreciate it. Make sure you guys like, comment, share, and subscribe. Show your girl some love in those comments. Show your girl some love with those likes. Argue with your mama. I'm out. Bah!